Yeah, finally, we got Lance from Solderweld in the studio. Thanks for coming down, bud. Hey, why don't we just record a commercial now?
Yeah, why not? So good to be here, man. It's been a lot. I've been trying to get down here forever, and I wanted to talk about the off-road kit.
Dude, I love those things. I got it in my pack.
Yeah, we're running hundreds of vehicles now running them, whether it's a UTV or some guy's got it in a backpack on his motocross. He's got everything he needs to make a fix right there on the fly, out on the trail, or in the desert, whatever it is.
Well, since I've already used one, I kind of know what to use it for, but explain what it does.
All right, so let's pull one out real quick. You've got your aluminum rods. Remember, they're rods, right? So, light torch, small torch. You can throw it in there or throw it on the rig with your flux. It decontaminates and cleans like, let's say, a radiator. You get a random rock chip runs through as you're racing. You get a rock chip in a radiator. You got to fix it right there or you're out of the race.
You can patch it up.
Patch it up. It's all good to go.
Yep, just like welding.
Yeah, also as well with that, you've got a brake line fix. So with your flux, you can fix a brake line, stainless steel, and then your hot block, heat absorption putty. So it keeps you from getting burned, number one, as well as keeps the heat from traveling. So it's really nice.
I've used this not even to fix anything, so that stuff works so good, man.
Listen, it's easy. It straps in nicely so that you have everything you need in one little place, and you don't have to carry a big bag in
it's
the
It's like a first aid kit for your vehicle.
Yeah, chase trucks have it as well, so that, if they need to make a fix on the fly, they can get it done and get it done quick and get you back in the race.
Dude, those things are so cool. All right, so it's at Solderweld on Instagram, Facebook, and solderweld.com.
Awesome.
All right, thanks, bud.
Appreciate it.
Hello, I'm Justin, the founder of Shock Therapy. Shock Therapy has been around for 5 years, but we have personally been tuning suspension on off-road cars and race vehicles for over 25 years. We tune between 10 and 15 cars per day, every single day of the week. Our concentration is tuning shock systems and supplying components that improve the ride quality of your car in many ways. Not only do we work on the average UTV, but we also tune suspension for race teams and professional drivers. We currently tune for over 87 race teams in Best in Desert and Score. Our clients and race teams rely on our suspension components to allow them to win races and keep them safe. Suspension is a moving target. We are always trying to hit that target with every customer that we work with. Each customer's needs can be different, and we tune our kits accordingly. Our research and development never stops. We improve our components every single day. As the industry evolves and improves, so do our parts and kits. As of right now, we have over 100 products for UTVs. So when you bring your car to us, you have the satisfaction of knowing that you have the most experience, the highest quality products, and the fact that your car is being tuned specifically to you.
Yeah, we're back. Thank you guys very much for tuning in to episode 31 of the Dirt Life Show. We want you guys to interact as much as possible, so hit us up on Facebook and hit us up on YouTube. Hit us up wherever you can and have fun with us tonight. We got our featured guest tonight, one of my buddies, one of the guys that I look up to, James Jaramillo. What's up, James?
Not much, George. How are you doing?
We're doing awesome tonight, dude. We really appreciate you taking the time and coming on with us.
Yeah, we're doing better now.
No, looking forward to it. It'll be a fun call.
Yeah, it's really good to have you on here, man. I wanted to introduce you to a little bit more to our audience. And for people that don't know who James is, first of all, he's a really hard worker. He has a day job, and he works on, well, you do what, project management stuff? You work for a subcontractor?
Yeah, we're a concrete subcontractor, so we do a lot of land development work, just typical building foundations, curb gutter, sidewalk, all the boring parts of the construction project. But it's what we do during the day, so we could try to get racing on the weekends.
Yes, how you get to your extra spending money. But so James, not only does he work hard at that, he works really, really hard at his race program and his racecraft, and the concepts and the things that he comes up with in his mind for actually making it so that he can drive a car is phenomenal. Like it is. There's no other word that I can use for it, because most people don't have the ability to think that far ahead or think that far outside the box. So when I saw the stuff that he had in his car, I was just amazed, man. And to be able to have the wherewithal to be able to go through with like wanting to race like this, most people would just be like, no, I'm okay. Like, I don't need to do that. But he has the go to be able to do stuff like that, man. You got to appreciate it.
Yep, that's awesome.
So, yeah, James, man, where did you grow up, bud?
So I grew up, born and raised in Las Vegas. I went to college up in Utah just for about 4 or 5 years when I was 19 to probably 24 or so. And then I moved back and came back working in construction since. But yeah, born and raised in Las Vegas, and little quick trip to Utah for college and came back here.
What did you study in college?
Construction management.
Oh, right on. And so what's the day job?
So
what's the day job for you now? Like, what, you just manage a team?
the day job. So we have quite a few crews going. So I'll just originally, it's funny story. I got into construction because I knew my whole life I wanted to make sure to work with my hands and to work outside. And I had my spinal cord injury when I was 17. I was practicing for a motocross race out at a local motocross track called Sandy Valley. And that was the beginning of my senior year of high school that I got hurt. And I was trying to figure out what I would do for those first couple of years of college. Didn't really know what to do. Took a couple of businesses and accounting classes, and that just didn't seem like the direction I wanted to go. And I grew up, my dad had a landscape company, so I've spent a lot of time working with that over the summers. I knew that I wanted to stay, that was just what was more interesting to me. And so I figured when I was in college, well, I looked at the construction management program, and it was the only thing that seems interesting that I could wake up and go do on a Monday versus go to a big office building. And the funny thing about that is being in the chair, I'm going to be able to get out on projects quite a bit more. And now I basically found myself at a desk behind a computer going through plans. But it's good. We have a good group of people that we work with. So I'll do more of the estimating, bidding the projects on the front end. And then now we have some more people to handle that. And then I'll do a little bit more of the manage the manpower and the financial side of things. So it's kind of plays with that problem solving part of your brain, but I'm not necessarily on the job side as much as I would like to, but I still get to use a little bit of that creativity. So I found a fun little spot that I've enjoyed.
Yeah, that's pretty, you could probably relate to some of that stuff.
Yeah,
that he's talking
definitely.
about.
Especially in that takeoff part, right? Or the phase when you're looking at a project. How can we do this better than the other guy? And obviously when you're wired that way, keeps the mind going. I get it. I know the feeling where you're like, man, I don't want to be sitting at the desk going through all these papers, but you can turn it into the competition right there.
Well,
yep, I get it.
You and James have a lot more in common than you actually probably know, is because like you guys both have that mentality where you can think about how to do it better. Like James, so I don't know if you know Casey's story at all, but Casey raced Supercross and motocross and stuff with me. We grew up together, but after being an adult and stuff, he started racing RC cars, and he started working with a company called Horizon Hobby in Losi, and he actually developed an RC car, a little short course car, and it was better than the predecessors of it. So it's very much similar to the way that you think. Your guys' mindset is the same.
Casey, you probably noticed what I've seen the last couple of years. The more involved that I've gotten in the racing, it kind of exercises the same part of your brain too. So it's fun. The racing and the work are going hand in hand in a way. Yeah,
it totally does. And sometimes you would probably agree. Sometimes the hard part is you can't turn it off.
Yeah, completely.
Yep.
Well, so let's backtrack a little bit then. So you grew up in Las Vegas, and obviously you like riding dirt bikes. How did you get into that? Did your dad ride or something?
So yeah, my dad rode a little bit when he was younger. He had a little YZ80. He always told us he had this. I mean, this is before all of our times. He had this purple YZ80 that he used to go ride in the desert, and it was something that we never really intended it to go the direction that it went with the racing and everything. It was more. I did some mountain biking years before that. We had a house go ride four-wheelers at. And we just decided to do a little bit of a blend of the two. And he got a Kawasaki when I was probably 12, 13 years old. And he enjoyed doing it. And I ended up getting a little TTR 125 a little bit after that, just for us to have something to go do together on the weekends. And we both really enjoyed it. Had a group of friends that went. And then there's a local motocross track out in Las Vegas that I would go ride with some friends at. And it went from I'm sure we can all relate to this one. You go with the intention of starting dirt bike riding with the family in the desert on a Saturday morning. And before you know it, somehow you're at the motocross track, and then somehow you're signing up for a race. And then here we are. So that's the evolution that went to. So I'm not really from a racing family at all, but it's what I look back at. It was just a great way for all of us to spend time together.
And all your money.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's actually the exact reason why we actually started the Dirt Life Show, is because how much it actually teaches you. So we just talked about you and Casey's mindset and how you guys are forward thinkers and stuff like that. But I can almost guarantee, and I can say this with all confidence in my life, if you didn't have the motocross growing up, you may not have the same mindset. Like I wouldn't even be close. Like I wouldn't know how to solve problems. I wouldn't know how to do any of these things. And when I went to college, it was actually easier because I was like, oh, well, I already know how to like do it the way that I want to do it, so I'll just do it that way.
Mm-hmm.
No, completely. And a little, I guess, funny in a twisted way about that is my mom, like most moms, are not motorcycle fans.
Yep.
And especially after the injury, definitely not a motorcycle fan. But when I was younger, 16 years old, I remember and she brought this up to me when I was after my injury and when I was in the rehab hospital. George, you remember learning how to transfer out of your chair and just kind of learning all those details all over again, how much effort it was to learn how to brush your teeth, learn how to start to put some pants on and things like that. What she said that she noticed was it was that same mentality that I was learning how to transfer out of my wheelchair with that I would use to load up the motorcycle as a 16-year-old at 5:30 in the morning to go ride on a little sand track that I had to practice my turns.
Dude, how cool is that?
So awesome. So common.
It's been with a lot of the guys that I've met through the car racing and everything over the years with the motorcycles and even through work that have that background. It's something that's different than even just a traditional sport because I think you have to learn to do it yourself.
No doubt.
No one really has a schedule set for you.
It's that whole thing. If you can't start it, you can't ride it. Like you have to figure it out like that. Yep. Dude, that's so cool to hear that story. Like, it makes me happy to hear that. Like, it puts a smile on my face because it makes me feel like the show is actually, like, for a reason because that's exactly what we're trying to portray here on the show.
Yeah, it also makes you feel a little better where you're like, okay, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only screwed up one, right? The messed up brain that has to do everything to the whatever
Why
level,
am I overthinking every single little thing?
Exactly. Because if I don't put a safety nut on that bolt, it's going to come out and da-da-da-da. Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool, man. And, well, so let's I guess we'll just keep going on with what we're talking about now is you obviously started racing and doing all that stuff. It's probably one of the same common stories, like in my case and Justin and different people that we've interviewed. You started getting pretty good and going pretty fast on a motorcycle. Was your family still supportive that whole time? And then what happened when you got injured?
Yeah, so it was very supportive. It was something that it got to the point to where I was pretty much the only one that really rode because we never really did. My dad didn't have any interest in the motocross track. It was more that we would go on a Saturday morning. But then what that turned into is the Las Vegas Speedway when that was still out.
Yeah.
They had Thursday evening and Tuesday evening practice nights. So me and him would go once, sometimes twice a week together. And even looking back in high school, that's such a good way to spend time together. He wasn't riding, but it's something that we would go do together. And then
big time.
They were still supportive even on the weekends when I'd have a little local race that we would do. I never did the like the amateur circuit or anything like that. The only things I did were just more the local, the little local Saturday races when those would come to town. And but they all went and everybody was very supportive, and we had a good time doing it. And then when I got hurt, that obviously changed things. And
well, don't go too far. Let's hear the story of how you got hurt too, because that's usually pretty. Well, at least in my case, it's pretty emotional to relive those feelings.
Yeah, that was definitely a different day, and it's funny when I'll tell people it is a weird day in the way that you look back, and it's almost for me it was the day that I was riding. I remember going out as it was Saturday morning, and it was beginning of my senior year of high school, and I was planning on. I remember the week before I was talking with my mom about different colleges to start looking at, and it's just a lot of new things that I've never really had to do before.
And what are you
so
about,
I was looking forward to going
senior
out.
year, you're about 17 or 18, right? 17?
Yeah, I was 17.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was about 17 and a half. And so I was looking forward to just going out to go to the motocross track for a little bit in the morning and then just kind of do something that I was used to doing. And it was, I mean, you really couldn't even write the script of it better. The day was perfect. The dirt was perfect. The area that it's at is pretty loamy. And I'm sure us and everybody listening to the show know exactly what we had. Rain for about a week straight. So you know exactly how perfect that day was.
Chocolate cake.
With the deep, yeah, exactly. Deeply ripped and everything.
Yeah, we used to skip school sometimes for that.
Yeah, dude, fully. Yeah.
I definitely remember skipping school for days like that. And got a handful of good motos in. It was one of those days I've for sure rode the best that I ever had. And I was on a new 125 I had for about a month. It was when that aluminum framed YZ first came out. And so it's like I finally got used to the new bike and everything. It was just a great day. And I remember telling a buddy of mine, I said, man, I'm riding so good today and the track's so perfect. I shouldn't go back out for one more, but I'm going to go back out for one more. And we all know that's the last thing we say.
Yeah.
And so I went out on my
We actually had an agreement with our group. We would never say the words.
Yeah,
like we might think it in our head, or might just like slowly get on the bike and go cruise out, but you'd never say it.
Yeah, I had a friend that recently told me, he said, you say you're going to go out for two more, but you only do one.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
He said that was a good way to get around it. But so I remember I was getting ready to finish up the day, and then there was this probably a 60-foot triple step down jump that was out of the corner. And I landed a little sloppy on it, and I was like, I can't end the day on that note. I want to go back and do it for one more. And to do it perfect, it was about third pinned right around the outside of the corner to just, you downside it just perfect on the 125. And so I got off the track, and then I went back around to go do the jump, and then decided to come back around in, and then I got set up on the inside of the corner. So I thought, okay, I could probably seat bounce it from the inside. And the track was wore out at the end of the day, and there was one of those square edge lips on the inside. And I remember when I hit that, the bike kind of got bucked straight up in the air and a little bit sideways. And I was just too tired to bring it back straight. And so when I got kicked sideways in the air, I was thinking, oh no, this is not going to end well. And I could already feel my back getting scratched. Like I knew exactly how I was going to fall. It was going to be right to my shoulder and scratch up my back real bad. And I knew that was a big mistake. But then so when I got kicked sideways in the air and then it didn't bring it back straight, right when I landed, it was the tank slapper where it's just left, right, and ejects you. And when I hit the ground, I heard my helmet slap on the dirt. And I was rolling down the landing ramp, and I was like, gosh, that's so weird. This doesn't hurt. And then I remember laying there completely empty feeling and just real short of breath and just I didn't try to move because I knew that something was wrong. And I knew in driver's ed classes and everything, they said, if you're ever in a bad accident, don't try to move. So I didn't, but I felt completely empty, and it was real hard to breathe just because with the injury that I have, that C5 level spinal cord injury up in my neck, my diaphragm's real weak. So immediately my breathing was real slow. Luckily, there's an EMT that was right there. The ambulance is probably 2 corners away, and the flagger came down to help out. And I remember when they started to take my helmet off, I was nervous about them taking my helmet off, so the flagger was helping to take my helmet off. He said, no, don't worry, I know what I'm doing. And he cradled my head really gently and then just slid it off and set it down. And I remember the EMT, when he came up, he started asking me some questions, and I was moving my mouth, but I couldn't really get any air out to respond. And I remember he grabbed my feet. He said, can you feel me? Can you feel me move your legs? And I said, feel what? And I just couldn't feel anything. And he said, can you feel this? Can you feel this? Can you feel this? And kept saying that. And I didn't know what he was doing. And then all of a sudden I felt some touch on my chest, like right up above my mid chest, like right about probably center mid chest. He said, can you feel that? And I said, yes, I can. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, that's a long way to not feel. And then he grabbed my hands and he said, squeeze my hands. And I said, am I squeezing them? Because I didn't even feel him grab my hands. And then he said, no. And I was so young, I was 17, that I was so naive, I didn't really understand what this was, what this meant. And I just knew that it wasn't good, but the way that it felt is because I didn't have any pain. I didn't have any pain in my neck or anything. I just thought I hit my head real funny. I was going to be driving home. So I went out to the track by myself that day because my dad was out of town. My mom was with my brothers. And then I had a couple friends that were out there. And I remember they asked for my parents' name and phone number, and I wouldn't give it to them because I was thinking, if my parents know this happens, there's no way they're going to let me ride a motorcycle.
I'm going to get in trouble.
So,
man.
Yeah, exactly. So 17-year-old thinking that is just, and then it was that I remember going into the EMT or going in the ambulance. They took me to the helicopter for Flight for Life, took me to the trauma center in Las Vegas. After that, ran all the tests, and then cause I was awake and alert the whole time until they took me out for surgery.
What was the name of the trauma center?
But it was weird. It was the UMC on Rancho in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I think that's where I was.
Okay, you were there because that was when you had yours about a year ago or so, right? And I think you were UMC trauma, same place I was.
I couldn't see any of the signs or anything, but yeah. We got Paul Yaw said, hello, James. And we got a couple other comments so you can continue your story. But Caden Danbury said, smart and fast. And then Rory said, success comes from determination, and that couldn't be more true in your case.
So, but yeah, that's, I guess to put that day in a nutshell, that was the long story short of that injury day. And after that, I went out they put me in for surgery, and then I don't remember the next 2 days later, and then woke up probably about 2 or so days later, and it was just on and off of a respirator for probably a little bit over a week or so to try to get just the oxygen levels back where they needed to be. And stayed in ICU in Las Vegas for about 14 days, I want to say. And then I got sent to Craig Hospital up in Colorado.
I heard that's a good
for
place.
About 3 months. It was an awesome place. Looking back, just for the things that they taught me just for daily life. And the best part about it is I got real lucky in the way that we hit the timing just right. I was 17, and there was a group of about 9 of us. The oldest one was 21. And it was like a little frat house for 3 months. It was the group of guys were great that I was with. And I thought that helped out a lot just for all of us to kind of go through it together. It was a group of young guys that we would all be hanging out. Our personalities all matched up, that we would just be friends anyways. And for that time and for those next couple of years after the injury, that was a really good support group to have.
Dude, yeah, that's like a huge difference. Like I can see where he's saying that meant a lot to him, because that's a big time thing to have. Like, just think about, like, if you're in the hospital and you don't have any coming to visit you, or you're alone, or there's like days when you don't have anything to focus on, it can really play with your mind, dude.
Yeah, you can start to self-destruct for
sure.
Dude,
yeah. So that's really good that he had those support mechanisms, even if it was something just funny or fun, like super cool. Well, when you went through all that stuff, did you also have the support mechanism of your family as well?
They were awesome. My mom came with me to Colorado. I had 2 younger brothers. My brothers are about 3 and 5 years younger than me. So I was 17. So they were probably 12 and 14 or 15 at the time. And my mom ended up moving up to Colorado with me to stay with me for those next 3 months. And my dad stayed back in Las Vegas with my 2 brothers. And they would fly up every couple weekends to see me. And then we have a great group of family and friends out here in Las Vegas that just jumped in for anything and everything that was needed. So that was, looking back, it's one of those things when I was going through it, I was too young to appreciate it. But now looking back, that's what I would say is probably been the most beneficial thing for me, was having just real good friends and family throughout this whole process has made life 100 times better.
Dude, I couldn't agree any more with those statements, man. Holy crap. That really hits home with me, dude. Well, I'm glad that you had all your friends and family there. Maybe we can fast forward or kind of do Cliff's Notes when going through some of the recovery and stuff. So you you still do it every day. I'm sure you stretch. I'm sure you do all kinds of different stuff on a daily basis to make yourself feel better. But what was the next, couple milestones that you were able to achieve during that process?
So through that process, my first big one is I wanted to get, I mean, my goal for anything and everything was to try to figure out some type of get back on a motorcycle, which I saw that kind of dwindling away as not as realistic, or some type of racing or some type of a car, because I tried to get away from try to look away from the motorcycle and maybe think of something else to do. And it just, that feeling of carrying the momentum through a corner, plus the mechanical side of it, plus the athletic side of it, it's such a perfect blend of everything that I love doing that I just couldn't, it wasn't going to go away. And so the long goal was eventually to be in a position. Now I almost wish I could just take a snapshot of my life and send it to my 17-year-old self and say it'll be all right. But the first big goal that I had was to just drive a daily driver vehicle again. And that was the big one, is to be able to drive a truck and not a minivan, because I could have done the power chair, drive the minivan, but that just wasn't, it just wasn't going to happen.
So you already set lofty goals for just little shit, dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
he wasn't ready for soccer mom yet?
Nope.
No, I wasn't ready for that. Because I wanted something I could at least maybe take in the desert or something like that to just get out. And so my truck and my seat in my truck will come out at a 90-degree angle and lower all the way about the size of my chair. My goal for, I'd say, the first 6 months when I got home was just to try to figure out how to get myself from my chair onto the couch. And so all of my physical therapy and everything was based around that. And I was able to get my driver's license again probably about a year and a half after my injury. And then I had a Silverado that I was driving, so I was really happy with that. And that was the big milestone. And then I'd say after that was to try to figure out how to live as independently as I could. Because when I got hurt, I was 17, and that's when you just get your driver's license, you're getting ready to leave the house. And then a lot of my friends left to college. And I was looking at going to a college and didn't really know what to do. And I had a friend of mine that went up to Utah and was looking for a roommate. And just kind of on a whim, we said, hey, let's try this. But what I wanted to make sure to do is that I can make sure to be able to put myself into bed at night without having someone to be on schedule to come help me into bed, just things like that. And so that was my big goal before I left home. And that was about 2 years after the injury. And since then, college was a little bit more about living. I look back and it wasn't even so much about the grades, it was more about just trying to learn how to live independently. And it was a 4-year course that I look back at as trying to figure out how to just productively get through the day. And in that time,
can you imagine the perspective that's teaching him, like the amount of life lessons that he learns in those short 4 years?
Oh, totally.
Well, even more than 4 years of college, but
totally,
like preparing for that, like you just getting your independence, like,
and it's totally crossing over to what you're doing right now. I guarantee you could probably build a Microsoft project schedule that is always pretty darn close, I would bet.
Rivals no other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can spend way too much time nerding out on the details on project myself.
Yeah, I hear you.
Did you go through college like having a good time though? Were you at least able to make the most of it, like mentally?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I'm not going to say it was the typical college party experience, because it definitely got tough at times. But looking back, I made some great lifelong friends. But I was up at school in Utah where it was snowing, and so half the year just sucks. Because in trying to get the chair in the snow and everything, and being that cold is just difficult. So I didn't have the full typical college experience that you would think about. That was a hard part for me when I was there and seeing kind of what everybody else was doing and then what I wasn't able to do. But then that said, I still had some great times and made some great friends and everything too. So there was definitely a balance in there. Yep. But it wasn't the fun party atmosphere, but it wasn't totally miserable either. It was there was a good balance of both.
Yeah, and you got to focus on a couple different things. I mean, like that's why I'm telling you, like the mindset and the things that you learn through that process. Like, I mean, there was nights I guarantee that everybody's like, "You're going out, come on, James, let's go," and you're like, "Dude, I can't. Like, my body feels like shit, or I'm tired, or you had a long day, whatever it is." Mm-hmm. But it teaches you patience. It teaches you wherewithal to be able to understand the yes and no and what you're doing. It gives you this foundation that you don't even know what's happening at the moment. You're just pissed off because you're not going out.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like you said, now it's taught him so much.
Yeah, it probably makes a lot of that that mental part a little easier. You're obviously headstrong.
Yeah.
You know how to set goals and stick to them.
Yeah, I'd say definitely. So sometimes wouldn't necessarily make it easier, but you've been there before, so you know how to handle it.
Right, there you go.
Where it's not so many new things.
Sure.
Yeah, that's a good point. We got a couple people chiming in too. Can you see that, Casey? Lita? He has my amazing nephew. James is a remarkable person. And then Caden Danbury says that he loves the whole Jaramillo family.
Yeah, they're great. The Danburys are awesome too.
Yeah, they gave me super good hospitality at the last Works races. Sarah even gave me an In-N-Out hamburger. No charge. I got to have an In-N-Out hamburger and an orange soda. I was in heaven, dude.
Oh, good.
All right, so you graduated with your degree. You got that out of the way. I'm sure you were pumped on that too, huh? How did that feel?
Yeah, it felt real good, and during the time of it, it was a little anticlimactic because I left school I left in January, so I still had to go back and get my diploma and everything about 3 months later, but I was done with the classes by January. So it's funny, you just kind of leave and then you have to go back up and get your diploma. But it was a cool feeling to just go through that whole process and then just seal up that chapter and figure out what the rest of life was going to be like. You didn't feel like you were held up so much by school anymore.
It's so funny to hear the story because, again, like everybody's injuries are different and stuff, but there's so many similarities. Like I said, fuck it, I'm not going to my graduation. I'm done. Like I finished my goal. I'll just wait till it gets mailed to me, and then I'm like off. Like I already started wanting to work and like doing all that stuff. So I totally agree with what you did.
Yeah. You do graduation almost a little bit more for the pictures and for everybody else that we kind of all did it together. And that's most of what I remember from it.
That's cool. And then where'd you go from there?
And then I moved back to Las Vegas and then started working with the company that I'm with right now.
Wow, that's
I've been
cool.
there been doing the same thing for about 7 years.
Awesome.
Dude, that's really good.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so clearly you like what you're doing now. So when you got out of college, you started getting back to work, and you were like, okay, I got these couple things under my belt. I'm sure you started having ants in your pants and wanting to do something else and getting the itch to get back out there?
Oh, completely. And then with the razor and everything, that started even a little before then. I got hurt right about when the Rhino came out. And it's just funny how the timing just hit technology just perfect, because I remember when the Rhino came out, my dad saw it and he thought that it'd be something fun for us to do together. And so he got it and then just put like a regular set of hand controls on it. And this was before and we just had no idea what this whole process was going to be. So now looking back, it was a stock Rhino, like a 2004, 2005, the blue one. And with just a standard daily driver set of hand controls on it. And I was so newly injured, not even really driving a car or anything then. Got in it and just couldn't really, I couldn't really drive it at all. But then it created a very, very, very fun toy for my dad, brothers, and some friends to drive around in. But then I had some friends like take me up in the hills in Las Vegas and things like that. So it was still for sure worth getting out, but it was just, I saw that for me to drive something, there was going to have to be a lot of work ahead in strength and then just like technology of areas that I didn't even know existed yet. So I drove that just a little bit. More was a passenger in that than anything for a couple of years. And then a couple of years later, I started putting together a little pit bike because I was trying to ride a little pitster because Ricky James, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we were all injured about the same time, and seeing what he was doing on the bigger bike when he was more involved in that, I was thinking, okay, this might be a cool way to go. I for sure couldn't ride a big bike, but then I was thinking maybe a little 110 or something. I could at least kind of putt around, set something up similar to his, and it's probably a good thing that it never worked because I never ended up riding it. We could never get it to start. It was one of those pitster Chinese bikes. And but what that did is nice. I had a friend of mine that was helping me do some welding and everything on it. And my dad's friend Larry that Shelby was talking about called him just out of the blue one day. How are you guys doing? How's James doing? And he said, well, James is doing good. He's got this little motorcycle he's trying to make work and can't really get it figured out. And then he said, I'll bring it by the shop. And that's when Larry was racing with Menzies. So went down to Menzies' shop, and this was 2000, probably 9 or 10. And I was like a kid in a candy store seeing that place. It was unbelievable. But those guys all just jumped in on one of their.
And you didn't know anything about off-road at the time, huh?
I just knew from what I saw browsing around online, looking at what seemed like it would be cool to do one day. But I didn't know anything about the industry. I didn't know anything about how the vehicles were built. I didn't know anything.
So when he says he was a kid in a candy store, he wasn't lying. Like the bright colors, big city kind of stuff. Like you go into a shop like that, being like a dude from the outside, I can guarantee his brain just started going bananas. Like literally the mind blown emoji. Like when he went into that place,
especially when weeks before that,
it felt like he dropped.
Weeks before that, you were probably figuring out what you could bolt to your Rhino, and now you see this thing. You're like, what?
Completely.
Yeah, awesome.
So we went in there, and then there was a guy, Ralph, that's helped him out for years. If anybody in the short course and desert knows Ralph Chadwick really well, and he came and just jumped in and said, "Yeah, what do you guys need? We'll help out." And we were looking at the pit bike, and then he just said, "What? That's a terrible idea. Why would you do that?" There's these things called Razors that are coming out now, and I've heard good things about them. And that was right when the Razor S came out, the 800, the long travel one. And so then a couple months later, my dad ended up getting one of those, and we tried setting one of those up. And what Ralph ended up doing with us is set up with a Howe hydraulic power steering system, kind of like what you do out of a buggy.
Yep.
So set it up like the old style 16 cars with the hydraulic steering and everything on it, the hydraulic assist. And we got that going, and we could get it just close enough to how right we wanted it to be. But to get just enough assistance, we had to put a really light torsion bar in it, and then it made the steering flutter and chatter really bad. So we could never quite figure that out. But then we make it a little heavier, and I just couldn't figure out the right balance of steering wheel size versus the pressure that I need. And still doing a like a typical daily driver hand control setup was just too loose. There was too much feed play in it. But so throughout kind of those college years, when I come back home to Las Vegas, that's what I go on rides with friends and things like that. We'd go out to Gene where they do the Mint 400 course and just always kind of tweak with it and play with it. And what that was so therapeutic for was just getting back out with friends again, doing something that we were talking about that we enjoyed talking about.
Yeah, just
like right now,
your mind
chatting
right.
about race cars. I mean, completely. You could do it all day. Yeah. And just having that back in life was huge. And about a year after I came home from college, we went to my uncle. We were up in Utah, and it was just Thanksgiving, and we went to go browse around, kick tires around to kill some time. And that was when the Arctic Cat, those Wildcats just came out.
Yep.
Went into a dealership there, and we're just looking at them, talking with the guys, and it's funny the evolution of these UTVs, because I remember that Wildcat when that came out, it looked like a big sand car, and now it looks like a little toy compared to everything else that's out.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was that DNP Performance up in Utah, and Dean Bullock that's been running their race team and stuff forever. I got to chatting with him, and then he just immediately wanted to jump in as we got talking and said, "Hey, well, whatever you need to do, we can probably make it work." And his experience was all in the King of the Hammers, the 4400 stuff. So long story short, ended up selling the Razor to a guy that was also in a chair. So it was cool to see the car go to good use.
Oh, rad.
And then just start with a fresh platform. And he ended up putting a full hydraulic system on it, like what they used to use back in the day on the rock buggies. And what was a total game changer on that, I was able to get the steering assistance to actually drive the car like I need. But I don't know if you've ever had any experience in rock crawlers, is they don't have a center. So I was driving this car for a couple of years, and you come out of a corner and because I have to have my hand fixed in one location on the wheel because I don't have any grip. So my hands are stuck in these tri-pins. So it's 2 pins that grab my wrist, one pin I'll wrap my fingers around. So my hand's in the fixed spot on the wheel, but I'd come into a corner with, say, my hand's at 6 o'clock. All of a sudden I come out of the corner, and then my hand's at like 9 o'clock. And then I hit the next jump, and my hand's at 2 o'clock, all while I'm still going straight. So you're always trying to chase the car, especially like jumping in the rhythm sections and the works races and stuff. It was just, it was tricky. And I remember
that seems gnarly. Do you understand that?
Oh yeah, totally.
I don't really get that. Like, why wouldn't it have a center?
Well, it's probably like driving a car with too much toe out. Like it's just flying all over.
Yeah, because there's no there's no mechanical link to the wheel.
Right.
Because once we got mechanical link to the wheel, then we couldn't have it. There'd be too much resistance on it. So there was no steering shaft on the car. It was a like an orbital valve that went straight to a hydraulic ram, and it just drove off of fluid.
Right, so just like a tractor, basically.
Yeah, that makes sense. I see where you're.
Yeah, so it's kind of like driving a loader.
Yeah, so it's all you to get it to keep that center instead of a mechanical help, like you're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, but in a race situation, there's no way you could do that.
That was tough, obviously.
Yeah, I learned that in a couple of works races. So I did a works racing for probably about a year and a half with that, and that at least kind of got me able to get out there.
Dude,
but I remember my whole goal was it was cool to just get back involved in it, and I remember my whole goal was I did not want to be double lapped. But so I'd always make sure to give everybody some good room off to the side of me.
That mindset is
That's what I'm saying. There's another goal. I love it.
Hey, we had a couple of people chime in real quick too. Caden Danbury. Oh, no, we already said Caden's. But Devin Smith chimed in and said, "Are we going to go to Glen Helen this year?" And he also said, "How do those Wildcats do on single tracks?"
But there looks like there's a laugh with it, so maybe being a
smart
aleck.
Oh, is he throwing a little jab at James?
Yeah, that's I made an accident of trying to follow him on a trail ride one day, and this is about a 3-hour long story, so I'm not even going to start digging too far into this one. But I learned that the Wildcat doesn't do good on a single track, and it was right when they were starting to get hot in Vegas, and I tipped the car on its side, and they didn't know I was behind me or that I was behind him, so they lost me for about 3 hours.
No.
Oh,
and with the heat and everything coming up, that was a whole, long story short, ended up in the hospital, but we're all okay now. And I'll have to tell you that one at the track once we see each other next time.
Yeah, way to bring it up, Devin. Thanks for bringing up a sore subject, bro. Well, that's cool that you figured all that stuff out, man. I had no idea that the process was that, when you see your system, your setup now, you think like, okay, it took a lot of engineering to do this. But the trials and tribulations to get to that point, not being an engineer yourself and trying to figure it out, that's pretty freaking awesome.
I almost think it ends up being better because it happens. I hate using this word. It happens like organically, right? It's just out of necessity, and then it just
it was all R&D along the way with just kind of different people that were really smart in different areas.
Right.
We would drive it, make adjustments, overhaul a whole new system.
Well, don't forget though, nobody's done this before.
Yeah, right.
Like this is completely new.
And what I meant by that was, no disrespect to in the engineering field, but if you threw that at an engineer, think of the engineers, structural engineers you work with right now, and you're like, hey, I need to make this, and that, you'd never get anything. It would just be people arguing about things where you're like, just throw it on and let's try it and make it better each time. So cool.
Exactly. And the way that this all works so well was I've got a couple really good friends of mine that we've just made through this whole process and that are, like my friend Blaine that lives out here in Las Vegas, a good childhood friend of mine that we used to ride motorcycles together. I have a good friend of mine, Johnny, out in Southern California, that's a beyond incredible machinist that's made most of this stuff on my car. We always joke with him that just looks like artwork when he's done with it. It's guys like that if you call an engineer and tell them that, hey, my hand just doesn't, I'm not able to get the strength to the wheel, they're going to say, well, this should work and this is why this should work. But it takes a good friend that understands what I'm trying to get to. And if I say then it's not going to work, then they'll help work with me and they'll start playing with some out of the box ideas to make it work.
Right.
Dude, 100%.
And that's been a huge part of this whole process.
Those are some of the things that I really wanted to focus on during talking to you today is like, first of all, kudos to everybody that's helped. Kudos to you for doing all the research and all that stuff. But when I hear the story, and when we hear the end of your story and how much you motivate and are affecting people's lives in a positive way, it's because of all this stuff. It's because of those people that help you. It's because you see the value in a human being. And all of those things make so much of a difference in people's lives. Like, I know you want to get out on the track. I want to get on the track too. Casey wants to get. Maybe we're not going to get on the track. Maybe we are going to get on the track. But it doesn't matter when you look back at it, because all the stuff that you're doing and the way that you're affecting people is the most important part that you will remember at the end of your life. And that's awesome that you're doing it, dude.
Oh, thanks.
So
no, that's been the big part of the whole journey.
Dude, it really is though, too. And you have all these people that are helping you. You know, we'll talk about a little bit about your setup now. So you have these evolutions of your different setup. I'm going to put some pictures on the screen so that some of our viewers that are looking at the video now can see some of the stuff that you've been through. But talk us through the current setup that you have now. You have a steering wheel in your lap, the way that you shift, the way that you pull tear-offs, like those types of things.
Yeah, so the way that we have it right now is I have a steering wheel that's flat in my lap, because what we've realized is I don't have my pec and my triceps working. So I can't really fight too far against gravity. So we realized that if my hand's in the regular steering wheel position, I have to fight up against gravity to make it work. So when it's down on my lap, it's almost like a bus. So it's a lot easier to keep my hand steady, and I don't have to rest it as much. And this last year, I don't even know if you've seen this car yet. It used to be all like a robotic, like a steer by thing, and it helps a lot because I have a couple different maps on it that I'll have one for driving around the pits, just for when it's real slow and real tight. And like my maps 3 and 4 on it. And the last Phoenix race, I actually flipped it in the caution because they watered down the track too much. And I started off with too heavy of a map. So then in the caution, I had to take my hand off the wheel and then drop it down a map, and then it was way easier to do the tight corners. So
like
depending on my tires, tire pressure, and the track, I'll change it just a little bit. So that's been a game changer on my steering. That's been probably the biggest nut to crack, is to try to figure out the steering. And it's just a whole issue of steering ratios, like how quick of a quickener versus how heavy is it going to make the steering feel. Because my thing is, I need to, being that I don't have all that strength to extend my arm, I try to keep my hand away from 12 o'clock on the wheel as much as I can. So I'm better off running a closer ratio steering and keeping it real close to me. So that's what we've been doing over the years, is trying to figure out the steering. And then the next big hurdle was the throttle brake. So we have a lever on my left-hand side, and I pull back for gas and forward and press forward for brake. And what we figured out this year, especially on my works car, always worked awesome. It had awesome brakes on it. My short course car never did. And I thought it was because the car wasn't getting the body roll to dive and to grip down on the front tires. But what we realized is that I was running probably just off of the way that we built the leverage points on the hand of where and it all happened within probably 2 inches of a difference. Of where my lever picked up on the master cylinder. I was running about double the leverage on my works car versus my short course car.
That makes a lot of
sense. And my short course car, I mean, you could even see, because like I'd have to lock up the brakes in the air before I came into a corner to get the car to kind of chirp and slow down. So I couldn't really drag the brakes coming into a corner because I just couldn't slow down that quick. So now that we've figured that out and played with the brakes a little bit, I'm really excited to get back out this year short course racing and have a car that can actually stop. So we're fully rebuilding the short course car. I need to post up some pictures on that because we're almost done with it.
Dude, I want to see
it.
But
doing that, awesome. It's I mean, I don't want to brag too much about it, but our guys did such a good job on it. I'm really, really happy with how this car is coming out. Dude. So I'll have to get you some pictures.
Yes, so definitely. Cool. We'll have people go to your social media and check it out too. Because the one that I saw was 2017, I think, version. So that was probably what, version 1.5 or something.
Yeah, that was 2 versions ago.
Yeah, so I can't wait to see the new stuff that you have set up, man. That would be super cool to check it all out. The one of the coolest things that I'm getting from this story too is not just the motivation, but the so Paul Yaw actually said this in one of his comments in the interview that we had with him, is hillbilly voodoo, right? So like, you don't know how to do something until you do it.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
But these guys would be like, hey, the way he explained it is you turn left right here and you give it gas right here because this is what works. And he's like, why does that work? I got to engineer this. Like, it works because you get traction. He's like, no, it just works. It's hillbilly voodoo. Like, that's what he explained it.
Yeah, got
so
it.
now James is to the point where he's got so many years or so much development in his time. It actually works, but you can still reverse engineer it. Like, you can see all of the mechanical inputs and stuff, and now he can fine tune it. That's so cool.
Yeah, and think how exciting it was to where, 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, you were talking about, oh, cool, we got this car that, we've adjusted it, adapted so I can drive it, but I can't center it without, killing myself all race. So, okay, if we just don't get lapped twice, we're good. That's a win, right? And then all of a sudden, you guys put your heads to this. It's like, all right, now we get in the car and we're like, we could do this.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that's what I'm really excited about this year is I feel like I finally, because before I was trying to make what I figured should feel right, because my whole goal is to try to make it like a motorcycle again, where I could have something that will just go on. I could click my brain off and just drive off of the feel of the car, kind of like on a motorcycle.
Yep.
And we've finally got that, but then now I'm excited because I have some numbers that I can back up to that. And now, like on my seat, we're building everything off of a seat base, so we can transfer the seat base to any car and just make our lives that much easier.
Nice.
And that's what I'm really excited is that we can get to that point. And that, to me, that's what this year is going to be all about, is just being able to put some numbers to it and really get racing competitive with it. We have a couple goals in mind for this year, and one, I'm hoping that the season kicks off sooner rather than later. But it's going to be fun to have some racy goals, not necessarily don't get lapped goals. So I'm looking forward to it.
That's awesome.
That's exactly what you're saying.
Yeah,
like
I love it.
The
It's
evolution
great.
of his goals, man.
Totally.
Hey, have you ever heard of a guy named Mario Bonfante?
I've seen his work a little bit.
Yeah, he does some pretty cool stuff.
I've never talked with him, but he's got some really cool stuff.
Yeah, not that any of it would help you, but I mean, it just might be kind of cool to bounce some ideas and stuff off of each other. He does some really cool stuff. He's very much like you, and tries to do the engineering himself and kind of figure it out. And he got himself a little 3D printer and stuff. So if any of you guys want to go back and check out that episode, I don't remember what episode it is, but it's Mario Bonfante. We did an interview with him a few months back, and he's got some really, really cool engineering stories, just like you do, James.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'll have to go look at his stuff because I've seen a little bit what he's done. And he gets real detail with all the machining and everything, so it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, but the coolest part that I think is the like-mindedness that you guys both have is like, how is this going to work for me? How is this going to help other people? Like, he's gone through the same steps as you, and like now you're talking about how you can transfer it into other cars. Well, in my mind, I see him being like, okay, now I got this figured out for me. Why can't this work for that guy?
Yeah, there you go.
You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
He can just be like, oh, when a guy in a wheelchair comes up to the races and says, Mom, look at this. Like, do you think I could do this racing in a wheelchair? Yeah. James would just go, yeah, give me a call on Monday.
Yeah.
I'll sit you right in here and we'll do it.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what's been cool about this is I can see, because I've had to go so detailed to figure out what works for me that for someone else, every injury is so unique that I feel like I've had to go so deep with mine that someone else can take bits and pieces from it and use what works for them.
Exactly.
Either whether it's the seating or the steering or the brake. And got a friend of mine out here that's helped me for years. He has a company. It's called Ironborn Engineering, and he's pretty much has like replicas available of what we do for people. And I haven't seen one go as far as what we did, but just to get people out and about where I can help direct someone, but I can't necessarily build it, but he can actually build it for other people. So it's cool to see kind of that dynamic come into play so we can get these things in more people's hands.
That is so cool. And it goes back to what you said too. Like if you had just taken an engineer and said, I need this, none of this would ever came to fruition. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like he spent so much time, effort, and mind to be able to put together what he wants to do to achieve his goals. And it was all out of necessity, right? Mm-hmm. But necessity is the mother of invention, man.
Mm-hmm,
and look how many people this is going to help. He doesn't even know how many people it's going to help. But I guarantee you, when he gets this thing, well, we won't call it perfected because it'll never be perfected. But when it gets to a point that somebody comes up to him and asks him, oh, my God, it's going to be such a good feeling for him. He's going to go, you know what? If I never win a race, if I don't achieve my goals, this was worth it.
Absolutely.
to help this person.
And the personality and, the awesome person that you obviously are, it's infectious. So,
dude,
here, somebody, just like you said, first of all, they're not going to be scared to ask you about it and talk about it because they know you're going to treat them like a human. And you're not, you're going to say, hey, we can do this.
Yep.
Here's how I fought through this. You can do this too. Yeah, I think it speaks pretty loud, probably louder than you think.
Much louder.
And I appreciate that.
Yep, it's cool. But we do want you to do well at the races. That's for sure. So
yeah, absolutely.
I know that's our goal this year. I feel like because we're starting to get there, starting to make sense. It's starting to make sense. And at Reno last year, I had about probably 2 or 3 laps until I blew a couple corners that I was running in within the top 5 pace for just a little bit, and that shocked me that we could do that. So that's our goal for this year. I finished up 9th in points in short course, and Warks is tough for me because it's just so much pounding. It's a lot of fun, but I realize I can do much better if I can finesse a car versus just hold on for the beating. So I'll go to Works for my friends and race with friends, but then short course is where I really feel like I could make it somewhat competitive. And end up finishing 9th in points. So I told our guys this year our goal is try to finish off the year 5th in points. And I can't necessarily do it off of speed just yet, but I think we can do it off of consistency. But I would like to just crack at least one top 5 before the year ends, and then finish off the whole year still having a good time and looking forward to doing it the next year. So that's our little 3-point goal for this year, and we're looking forward to it.
Dude, that mindset's amazing. Like, I love to hear that stuff. And obviously we would all like to win, right? But just having that understanding of dude, he's out there competing against dudes that are completely able-bodied athletes. Like, these guys are like, I don't know if you want to call the off-road guys finely tuned machines like an Iron Man or Lance Armstrong, but these guys are badass drivers at the top of their game, like the fastest guys in short course racing, and he's going to try to get in the top 5 of those guys. That's fucking awesome.
I can't wait to fast forward and hear the success story. I've already pumped.
Dude, me too.
I hope that one happens. That was a little lofty, but at least it's something that we can kind of start making a plan for.
Absolutely.
I think that could totally happen.
Figure with the right, I got a couple friends of mine that have helped a lot with the driving, coaching side of things. Been working with the trainer on the workout side of things, and between the simulator, getting the car working right, and everything, I think we can do it. So that's our plan for this year.
Absolutely. It's like you always say, you can't eat the elephant, in one shot, and you're breaking it down just like you would break your project down into milestones. It's so awesome. Like the parallel to what we do daily. I'm just like, it's exactly what you would do. I'm having a problem with a vendor, except he's like, okay, I need to get another 10th out of this, and I need to make it easier to, use my muscles for that. So you're just going to cross off each thing till you get there. And I'm so pumped.
Can you imagine when he goes to therapy or whatever, like they're like, hey, like make sure that you can lift your arm. Like, he's like, no, I need to do it like this, like so I could steer, make it stronger this way.
Right.
Well, it's funny you say that because that's the girl that I found at the gym because I always used to run my own workout program, and then just realized I need someone that knows more about the body than I do. So I found there's a girl at the gym that I've been working out with for the last year or so, and she's one of the personal trainers there. And actually, just right when we checked in earlier, I was just finishing up since we can't go anywhere, the gym's closed, we had a FaceTime call going. But I give her videos of in the car, and then so she just plans the whole workout program for the motions that we have in the car.
Awesome. I love it.
She's super competitive, so she's all about we're winning this year. I told her I don't know if we're winning.
Dude, I love it.
No, I want to have that mindset. So
it's all the details.
It's made that like the health side even more fun.
Oh,
too,
heck
so.
yeah.
Dude,
all the details adding into
that is so freaking cool, man. It'd be awesome to have her come out to the races and check it out. She's gonna be like, "Holy shit, you're hauling ass!"
Yeah, we were trying to do Glen Helen, but then Glen Helen had a little bit of a rain delay for us.
When's the first round of Lucas? Then anybody have any idea that it's just like postponed until they figure it out?
It was going to be April 25th in Arizona, and they just sent us an email last week that it's postponed until May 8th and 9th. And that's even, I mean, right now with how everything's going, I don't, who knows what. But that tentatively they said plan for 8th and 9th. So I mean that's what I'm getting everything planned for, and unless we hear otherwise, but I really hope it goes that weekend.
And that'll be in Arizona
because
too.
We're itching to get that's out in Arizona.
Sweet, I'll be able to come hang out.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite. Actually, that's probably my favorite place to race. It's a good pit setup. I like when the track drives in. It's a good track.
That new track that Kyle LeDuc's doing has 4 right-hand turns and 1 left-hand turn. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't yet. I saw a little bit of the layout when he was building it, but the 4 rights are going to be different because everything's so left that we're used to doing.
Yeah, it's got a little split lane and stuff. It looks super cool. Like, I can't wait to see it. Like, I would like to get out there and try it.
Your favorite split lanes?
Yeah, I don't know about the whole split lane thing, but actually, when we were doing the
come driver. Go ahead, sorry.
When we were doing the short course thing, when I first started racing, they had split lanes at Wild Horse, and they were actually kind of cool because there would be one weekend that the inside split lane was faster and the outside split lane was faster the next weekend, so it actually worked out pretty good, but it still wasn't my favorite part of the track. My favorite part of the track was the big step up.
Of course.
Oh, yeah, how was that big step up? Was that a pretty risky one to try, or was it pretty good on the
We could never get over it all the way, like in the Razor. Like, you needed an SR1 to totally grease it, but like I tried it a few times, like going way outside in the Razor, and I may as well have just broken my back again because it hurt so bad. Like you land.
Yeah, looking at that.
Dude, you land and
That's
you just
what it looks like.
You bounce and you knock the wind out of yourself. It was just, but it was fun. Like it was like hucking a side by side pretty far, but I mean, it was definitely was not worth it. So, but I will tell you though that there was a separator because there was a couple dudes in Razors that were doing it. And they got disqualified because we knew they were cheating.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that one makes it pretty obvious. You'll have to come out and take us in the general on the track walk and show us all the good lines.
Ooh, I would love to do that. That'd be pretty fun. Yeah, that would be super cool. And I'll bring out the unicorn too, or maybe the pit bike or something, and just
awesome.
Go have some fun. I think it'd be cool to come out there and just hang out with everybody. Now that I'm taking pictures instead of racing, I'm the whatever video guy instead, so I can come hang out with all you guys.
Yeah. No, that'll be fun. Now with everybody inside this much, I'm just looking forward to the barbecues and to hang out with everybody once this all blows over.
How is everything up there?
In Las Vegas, all the restaurants, everything's closed down. So they're pretty strict on keeping people in. Our field guys are working because it's considered essential business since we do so much on the infrastructure side of things. But our office is fully closed down. So I'm learning the whole work from home or remote thing, which is it makes for long days at the house. And it's just a different way to communicate with everybody too. So that's a little tricky, but I've been just making sure to get out, drive job sites and stuff like that to just get out and about during the day. But with the injury that I've gotten, I think you had Aaron Baker on a while ago. We have a couple of the same issues that I don't know too much of the details of how contagious this is or anything, but from what I do know is I'm real prone to pneumonia anyways. So if this is the risk that they say it is, then I've got to be pretty careful.
Yeah, don't get anywhere near
so right
that
now
stuff.
It's trying to exactly. So right now it's trying to figure out how to keep your sanity without seeing people, but then still like see just enough people so you don't totally lose your mind either.
Yeah, exactly. Just get out of the house, go chill. I noticed that this morning when I was here.
Exactly.
Like I was wigging out this morning. Like I have had a bad few days, but anyways, I was wigging out this morning, and all I had to do was just go in the backyard and take a couple deep breaths, like at the house before I like took off and went and did stuff. And like once I did that, I was like, God, like my mentality would have never been like that before I got hurt. Like this past year, like I would have been like just so hard on myself, right? But now I'm like taking a couple deep breaths and I'm like, fucking A, man, this is actually not that bad. Like I feel good now. Like this is pretty awesome.
Right. Get some sun and open up the eyes.
And, like keep it simple.
Yep.
Keep it simple, stupid. Like what that whole mentality. Like I couldn't believe it. Now I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll be good for the rest of the day now. Like took a couple deep breaths.
That's good.
Got some fresh air.
Yeah, fresh air does a lot. And then between the fresh air and then I talked to our guys, we're gonna go do a little work on the car tomorrow afternoon. So that'll be a good little a good little change of pace.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go, man. Look, have stuff to look forward to. Always the goals and things to be motivated by. Well, what do you got? We're going to ask you some rapid fire questions in just a second here. But so you got on your roster, you have like your milestone goals in the near future are to obviously be top 5 at the end of the year in Lucas. You want to obviously race well and be competitive throughout the series. But what are some a little bit longer goals that you have? Do you have any goals that you want to do? Different things at work? Do you want to be a champion? Like maybe in the next 5 years, what do you want to look forward to?
I'd say next 5 years, I'm real happy with work and how our business is going right now, but I'd like to make sure that we're a business that can be around for the long term, because in construction, it gets so fluid. I mean, you have a little bit change in the market and then all of a sudden you're disappeared. We've got such a great group of people with us, and I genuinely enjoy my Mondays. I really enjoy what I do and who I do it with. And I want to make sure that we're a rock solid enough company to keep that foundation around for a long time and just to provide a good livelihood for all of us. So on my business, that's, I'd say, my top goal, and that's a 5-year plus goal. And in the racing, I'd like to make sure it's something that I still have fun doing, to make sure it's to go out with my dad to have a good time with it. Don't take it too serious to where I burn myself out and then burn other people out around me, but to still be, it loses a lot of fun if you're not progressing. So I want to make sure to keep progressing to it, and then just every year just regroup and set a new set of goals. So it's something that I'd like to have it be a part of my life for the next easily 5+ years as well.
I think the progression level, the stuff that he's talking about, I think that's going to find its way, because he's going to progress himself no matter what, right? Like he's always got a forward-thinking mentality.
Right.
But I think what he's going to find is that it's going to progress differently in the next couple of years, because people are going to start asking him, and then he's going to start helping people and seeing their progression.
Yep.
And seeing their progression is going to give him gratitude. And all of a sudden, all these different things are going to be happening where a lot of stuff that he didn't even know is going to start clicking, and it's just going to make for a whole better situation. I think it's going to be sweet.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah. I feel like we did a lot of the hard work to kind of push it, and I feel like what's coming up now is going to be just finally being able to reap the rewards of the last couple of years.
Dude, big time. Well, that's a lot of work to put in, man, but kudos to you for doing all that stuff. Well, everybody can get a hold of you on Instagram. I think it's j.jaramillo939.
Yes.
Yeah, so hit him up on Instagram or go to the Dirt Life Show's Instagram, and you can hit him up through there. We posted a bunch of stuff on him today and the last couple of days. All right, James, we're going to go
I know what number 2 is already. I'm just telling
I kind of feel like I know what number 1 is, too, because he didn't like the works racing because it beat him up too much, and I feel like so.
Yeah, finesse.
Oh, wait, so I have a question for you before you get into this. So you said you like your Mondays at work. What about Taco Tuesdays?
Yeah. Taco Tuesdays are really good, too. And I do appreciate a really good taco.
All right.
We've got a couple really good spots here.
That's where number 2's going.
Yeah, exactly.
And you'll have to remind me to share the Monday Shark with you, because you're the Monday Shark. I got a couple other buddies that are the Monday Sharks too. Kevin,
oh, really?
Kevin Burnett's the Monday Shark too. I'll share it with you. You'll get a laugh out of it.
Oh, good.
Well, Shelby Anderson said that since we're talking about tacos, that we need to go to Abuelo's.
No, Anchos.
Anchos, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Anchos.
That was going to be number 2.
Anchos is really good.
Yeah, that's what it was.
That's going to be number 2.
Now that she told me about that, I'm like, God, I got to get to Riverside like ASAP.
I hope our little guy's open tonight on my way home.
Yeah, you got to get some tacos. Yeah. So, funny story about the tacos too, though. So, like, all the restaurants in Arizona are shut down except for some of them. You can go in and get takeout or drive-through or whatever. But there's a couple taco trucks that are pretty close to like where we are that we can still stop by. Like, so they're still servicing. Like,
oh, good,
dude.
They're raking it in too.
Yeah. Not only are they raking it in, they're like I'm like their number 1 customer.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they're smart right now. Yeah, and they're a lifesaver for you guys too.
Totally.
All right, Case, you go first then.
Roxon or Tomac?
Oh, I'd say Roxon. I like watching him ride.
See, I knew he wasn't going to pick Tomac just because
I like Roxon's style a lot.
He is. He's finesse.
Yeah,
he's
Tomac's the gorilla pushing through the work series. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, favorite food?
Anchos.
Favorite food? I'd say you can't go wrong with either really good Mexican or really good sushi. One of the others.
Ooh, sushi's pretty
just
good.
As good.
Didn't we have somebody pick sushi before too?
We did. I think it might have been Westfall.
Yeah. So
Scuba Steve.
Well, I thought he picked pizza.
He did. My bad.
What's
Okay,
the
iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
Yep, that's a profiling question. Always.
The Android guys will ruin your group message.
See, look
everybody's all blue and there's one Android guy and goes green.
Every time.
They blow you out.
My brother-in-law Brian.
That's like the guy. That's like the dude that's always on. Everybody's like, "Yes, we got a good start. Nobody's crashing," and then the dude crashes on the first lap and like totally Android guy.
Well, then you're like, oh, now we need a third-party platform. Yeah. So now we're going to WhatsApp or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, favorite soda.
Favorite soda. I like the. You guys have that Topo Chico sparkling water? It's like a Mexican just soda water.
Really?
Pretty bland, but it's like the most carbonated thing that you'll ever have. I swear it makes you sneeze after you drink it.
Really?
But it's kind of tough to find. Yeah, it's big in Texas and Mexico.
Dude, all right, keep that.
When I can find it, that's my favorite.
Keep that on the front of your brain though, because like Jessy Nelson's parents love that those soda water things. Those cans. Like she gave one to me and I thought it was decent, but it's not my favorite. Like I'm addicted to orange soda now after I hit my head, but they would probably get down on that. So maybe bring some to the next works race that you go to and share it with them.
Okay, definitely will.
Awesome. Okay, most memorable race.
I'd say it was my first short course regional race. It was in Elsinore, and it was Shelby and Hot Rod came out to help me with it. And I remember I had a little moment when I was driving back to the truck, and it just felt like it filled in everything that I was missing from motocross. The driving style was the same things that I loved about riding motocross versus even desert riding. And I remember I was driving back to the truck. It was before everybody got back from the pits. And actually Danbury's were there too, I believe. And I just had this little moment that I just felt like that gave me everything back that I was looking for. And that was a really cool experience.
Dude, I had one of those same
awesome
moments. Like, I really miss that Elsinore track. Like, I wish that something could come back with that place because it was
that was a fun one.
In my mind, it was one of the funnest or the funnest track that you go because it was so much more motocrossy. Like there was like a step on to like this tabletop, and like there was all kinds of fun stuff that you could do in a side by side. I mean, I had some pretty nasty incidents there, but I just love that place, man. It was so cool, and I agree with James what he's saying. Like it really does bring back that whole motocross aesthetic. Most memorable favorite flavor of ice cream?
Mint chocolate chip.
Oh, you're going.
Nice.
I think we had somebody say that too.
M&M's or Skittles?
M&M's.
Oh, you're going M&M's, huh? Even though the Vegas
my
heat
dad
will
does
melt
the. Oh no, well for sure. My dad does the peanut M&Ms, so he's kind of known at the races now. He has the peanut M&Ms in the freezer, so people always come stop by the pits when they get a little minute.
Sounds like
chat with him and peanut M&Ms.
Your pops are the peanut M&M guys.
Oh yeah, he loves those. They're such a classic, right? They just work. Unless you can't have peanuts.
They really do.
Unless you can't have peanuts.
I would rather have the peanut. Have you had the peanut butter ones? They're not as good.
Not a big fan.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan either. And shout out to Jim Peck, man. We hope you're feeling pretty good today, bud. All right, dogs or cats?
Oh, dogs for sure.
Same.
Burrito or taco?
Taco.
You want taco? What's the favorite taco, man? I gotta know.
It's hard to beat a carne asada, but if you get the right place that does the carnitas just right, then you can't beat that one.
Oh, like the ones. Have you ever been down to Ensenada, like where those tacos are?
Oh yeah, like the rotisserie ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are really good.
Dude, those are so good. All right, do you guys do tacos and stuff at the track too, or no?
We do a little bit. Actually, last Phoenix, it was the championship. It was the final race of the year. It was end of 2018. We brought a bunch, and because we always pit with Andersons and Cheeks and all of them, and we did a big end of the year taco party for all of us, and those were some really good tacos.
Oh, right. Did Miles cook too?
Miles is not. Yeah. I've heard good things about Miles' cooking. I have not had his cooking yet.
Dude, so we asked
him. I've heard some good things about it.
Supposedly he's doing pretty good now. Like we asked him because he was on one of the early shows that we had with him, and he wants to be a chef actually. So he does a lot of cooking, man.
Okay, well we'll have to bug him in Arizona to cook us up a little dish.
I know. We're going to have to hit him up. We should just bring a bunch of stuff and make him cook and not race.
That's true.
All right. So the last question that we have for you, bud, if you were a character in the movie Hangover, which character would you be?
Oh, I'd probably be the dentist because I get a little too rigid and too rule followy. I'm too much of an engineer's mind, so I would, as much as I hate to say it, I'd probably be him.
Didn't he get the hottest chick in that movie though?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't think he did that on purpose, though. I think he just got lucky and it happened. So
there you go. You got a double win.
I think that would also be me. So as long as it works out.
Perfect.
I think we're long lost brothers, dude. Like, we have the cloned brain.
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome, man. Well, anything else you want to say? You want to thank any people?
I'd hate to put a list together because I have way too many that I would start forgetting. But I mean, gosh, over the years, just I have such a big pay it forward list that I'm going to have to do after the end of all this is over for, say, the next generation of younger injured guys getting into racing.
Love it.
Between over the years, I'd say one of my friends, Johnny and Blaine, that have helped me do a lot of work just on the engineering side of this. Ralph Chadwick was a big help originally. My parents and family and all of my friends that have helped me through all of it. Shelby, Hot Rod, RJ, Randy, the whole Anderson family just said, hey, come on in. The Cheeks have been the same way. Gosh, I've really, it's been the most unbelievable community that I could probably start naming off names for the next 5 minutes, not even get anybody. And not even get everybody. And that's been the coolest part for me in this whole process is to just be involved with all the good lifelong friends that I've made along the way.
So he's really humble when he says all that stuff, right? But you realize that these people wouldn't be helping him unless they really genuinely admired and understand like who he is as a person. Like that should be well understood that those people aren't helping you for no reason, dude. They're helping you because you're a good dude. They're helping you because they want to see you succeed, and they're helping you because you're giving back to them what they want to feel. They feel like they're getting motivation. They feel like they're getting, humility from you. It's really, really cool to see that, dude. And you got to respect yourself, and you should definitely give yourself a pat on the back every single day when you wake up because you're kicking ass at life and you're making a drastic impact on people, dude. So keep doing it.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, no, it's been cool. Even some local guys out here, a good friend of mine, Spencer, that's helped me with the driving coaching, and just guys at work and that have helped on the late night mechanic sessions and everything. It's been a cool process.
Dude, well, thank you very much for taking the time to join us, James. We really appreciate it, dude. We hope everybody enjoyed hearing James's story. We know we did. I'm going to definitely wake up with some serious motivation tomorrow. I'm just pissed off that this stupid coronavirus is fucking everything up.
Yeah, I'm ready to get outside. So
totally. Well, tomorrow is Taco Tuesday, at least.
Yeah, and we got the taco truck
so you
down
get
the
to
road.
wake up to that.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you very much for all the motivation, James. We really appreciate you staying up with us and sharing your story with our audience, dude. You're an awesome human being.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate you guys.
All right, man. Well, I don't know if we'll see you at the works races because it'll be a little while, but hopefully Lucas has a race coming up here and we can see you and hang out.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of the works races I'll be at, I'm just putting a Turbo S together and have that almost done too. That I'm going to do finish off some of the works races this year that just don't conflict with the Lucas races. So I'll get back on doing a couple of those as well.
Dude, you're hardcore, man. I love it. All right, bud. Well, have a great night. We really appreciate you coming on the show, and I will talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, James. Have a good night.
All right. Take care. Have a good night.
Later.
See ya.
Dude, that was so cool, man. I still I can't emphasize enough the amount of, I don't even want to know what to call it, like necessity engineering. Is that what we want to call it? Like, yeah. I don't know.
It's the best.
It's just crazy to me. And like when you said you were long lost brothers, you weren't very far off with that statement, because the stuff that I saw you doing with the RC cars and stuff, like those are millimeters and things that you have to change. Like, it's so crazy. To build an RC car, people think it's probably like Legos, right? You just put them together. Well, no, it's not. It's a lot different than that. There's a lot of really hard equations that go into doing that. And he had to do those same equations, but he had to do it with understanding his strength level and a human behind those equations. So
cool.
Whenever anybody has the chance, if you have the chance to go and see James and look at the things that he's done to a side-by-side or to his truck to drive or anything like that, go check it out because it is phenomenal. And I love that the Lucas Oil races are an open pit. The Works races are like that too. Go say hi to him and just ask him questions and look at this stuff because it will get your brain going like nobody's business, man. It is so freaking cool. And you'll walk out of that race going, God, I just want to be like a better person in general.
Every time we say it every time, and I mean it. It's not a rerun. It's like it happens because these people are just amazing.
These people and them sharing their stories with us is phenomenal. The show is just getting so much better, man. I love it. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Thanks, Case, for coming. I know you're hungry. Got to get some tacos. And thanks for stopping by yesterday too on your bicycle, man. That was super cool.
Yeah, definitely.
So I really appreciate everybody tuning in. Thank you so much, Casey and I and everybody that helps support the show. Appreciate you guys because you guys are the lifeblood of our show. Please visit our sponsors and use the code DIRTLIFE at Shock Therapy. Use the code DIRTLIFE at Zollinger Racing Products and use the code DIRTLIFE at Solderweld. Use the code DIRTLIFE also at Rugged Radios, one of our new partners. We're going to have a contest with them coming up pretty soon, so we'll be able to give you guys some fun stuff. We really appreciate it. Next week's guest, we have a guy that wears jorts, jean shorts, and his name is Dustin Jones. He's from down south. He does a lot of mud riding. He does some really, really awesome desert racing. He's just an all-around good dude. And I think most people know who Dustin is. We got him on the show. It's going to be pretty awesome to talk to him. He's always got fun stuff to say. So we can't wait to have Dustin on the show next week. We're going to push through all this stuff that's happening in our society, and we're going to keep going, man. The show is important. We're changing people's lives, and we love it because they're changing ours too. So thank you, everybody, for joining.
Thanks for chatting with us too.
Yeah, thank you very much. We really appreciate that because we want more people to join in and be interactive with us. All right, guys. Thank you very much. We love you. Good night.
All right.
Thanks for listening to The Dirt Life Show.